everywhere.
After a decade of investigation into historical sexual abuse against a 10-year-old girl at a former residential school, RCMP have arrested 92-year-old Father Arthur Masse, who was working at the school when the offense occurred. A warning, the following story contains information that may be disturbing to some viewers. Retired priest Arthur Masse was arrested in his Winnipeg home on June 16th and charged in connection with a sexual assault on a 10-year-old female student attending the former Fort Alexander residential school. The assault alleged to have taken place between 1968 and 1970.
This arrest is a culmination of a decade of work by RCMP investigators who would not have been able to bring this to a conclusion without the incredible bravery of the victims and witnesses who were willing to relive past trauma and speak about what took place.
RCMP Sergeant Paul Meneg says more than 80 officers conducted over 700 interviews with people across North America and sifted through archival documents and student lists to locate any additional witnesses or victims. Masse was arrested on one charge of indecent assault. This is the only current investigation into residential schools by Manitoba RCMP. And with this single charge, the investigation is now over. But Sergeant Meneg says as news of this arrest circulates, more victims may come forward.
Well, that's very much a possibility. With one coming forward, some having the courage, you might have others. As we stated, in this investigation itself is concluded, but if others come forward, we will investigate those claims and move forward with any investigation that comes out of it.
Maybe this is the open door for people to understand that what happened in those residential schools actually happened.
Chief Derek Henderson of Saugeen First Nation, where the former Fort Alexander residential school was located, says for decades Indigenous people across Canada have been sharing their painful truths about what happened to them at residential schools and were often not believed. Henderson worries as more time passes, victims and perpetrators of these crimes could pass away and never face or get the justice they deserve.
I mean, when you look at the span from when you start and then when it ends, right? Sometimes it takes just too long. How many people have you lost to the spirit world, right? And then get their justice.
Masse was released after his arrest on conditions to appear in court on July 20th, 2022. Anyone in need of support can contact the National Indigenous Residential School Crisis Line 24 hours a day at the number on your screen. In Winnipeg, Mark Neufeld.